All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
We're back talking some fights. My man, Big Marley, myself, Titletown, not UFC 300, not UFC 301, Apex Fight Night. What are they calling this fight? Fight Night right here.
Vegas 91?
Vegas 91. There you go. We're at the Apex, 13 fights. I will say, there's going to be some violence. There's going to be some fun fights. There's no doubt about that. Now, when you look at UFC 300 2 weeks ago, yeah, nothing's going to compare to that. Next week, I'm excited, man. UFC 301 already. Urseg, Pantoja. We got Islam Poirier coming up pretty soon. Whitaker, Chimaev, of course, Connor, Chandler. It's a great time to be a fight fan. No doubt about that. Summer going to be absolutely loaded with fights. This week, though, 13 fights, 100K up top. Man, it's going to be fun. No favorites above minus 450. We do have one, I will say, before throwing it to you. James Yatop is minus 440, the biggest favorites. He was supposed to fight Lando Venata a little while ago, then Gabe Green. Both those fights fall out. Pricing was already out. So we have 8,200 Yatop as the biggest favorite on the card. Going to add a little interesting dimension, wrinkle into this slate. But yeah, enough of talking. I'm going to bring you in, Big Marley. How's your week off? How's UFC 300? What's going on in your life?
Yeah, the week off was nice after that card. I know it was a losing card for me, but I don't think I've ever had more fun losing on a card because it was just such a great card. It lived up to the hype. But now coming back, it was a little rough. I was like, oh, man, now I got to get myself hyped up for Na Liang and Marnik Man.
It's easy to get hyped up for Liang Na. Come on now. Not man.
Maybe a little bit more of that one. But yeah, I do think it's going to be another high-scoring card. I think you could make a case on my fight rankings. I could have made a case for like 7 of these fights to be 5-star fights. So those will be the ones that I'm really loading up on. I'll try to get away from my lower star fights, but mix some in here and there. The Yatop will make things very interesting. If you're going to be loading up on him, you got to think of other ways to get different. But yeah, I'm looking forward to breaking this down with you.
Absolutely. We'll talk game theory. We'll talk everything as always. I will say right from the get-go, my MMA stuff might be up a little later than usual. Usually it is right after the show. I'll be doing the MLB show with Ham today as well. Very busy. NBA playoffs going on as well. Everything will be up this afternoon, early tonight. Definitely won't be late tonight by any means. Ownership will be up as always. We'll hint at it a little bit here. But yeah, excited to talk some fights. Ben's in here. Lone Wolf, Joanne, Michael Peterson, Camera Bro. Appreciate everyone hanging out. I did see your comments, actually. I did reply to it. If you go on YouTube comments, I did reply. It was a Venice hat. It was from California. It said Venice Beach on the side. So I don't know if it's like I doubt it's a high school or something like that. When I was visiting Rio in California, that's when I picked it up. It said something Venice Beach or something like that. So maybe that is. Let me know if that is your school. Golf in here. Kyle's favorite fighter, Petka. G. Kiefer in here as well. Like button, subscribe button helps us out a ton. I know a lot of people watch on playback. Just take 1 second out of your day right now before you watch the video. Hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, helps a ton. And if you want to join us at the Nation, no better time to join, man. All these sports in full force. Your Pacers are putting a beat down on my Bucks. NBA playoffs we got. NFL draft, a lot of fun. PGA going on. I know it's an interesting week. I don't even know how Showdown works for that. It's like a team event. Full force PGA, though. Teams absolutely dialed in. MMA back this week. NHL playoffs. MLB going on as well. NASCAR on Sundays. Next thing you know, college football, NFL will be back. Plenty of money to be made. Weekly, monthly, 6-month, annual packages. Weekly, no Discord, no promo code. $24 a week, though, to check out all the content. Otherwise, monthly, 6-month, annual packages. Monthly, then 6-month annual. Annual's the cheapest deal, $49 a month. After the promo code, about $42. $59 a month for the 6-month comes out to like $50. And then our annual or our monthly package, $69 a week, comes out to about $58 a week or $58 a month. So much going on. My mouth is working fast in my brain. Monthly $69 a week comes to like $58. $59 a month. It comes out for our 6-month package, which is about $52. Annual package comes out to about $49 a month, which is about $40. People charge $40 just for MMA alone. You get all those sports right there with the best ownership in the business by our man, Big Marley. That's enough talking, though. I'm in Venice, Florida. Okay, absolutely. So Venice, Florida, California, not the same. I like the hat, though. That is why I got it. We already kind of have broad slate overviews, Big Marley. I mean, yeah, we have a lot of fun fights, especially the top of the card. Finish. The first 8 fights expected to finish. I'm expecting violence. I need big scores out there. I didn't misspeak, though. Minus 500 is the biggest favorite for Petravic. But, yeah, if you play the main thing, Yatop, 8,200 as the biggest favorite on the card. We have him about 60% owned. I think that's probably right. And the lotto for sure. If you go high stakes, 80%, like 90%. As far as single entry, it's even going to get higher. We'll go fight by fight, though. If you play him, you can leave salary. You got to get different in some way. Any other fight overview, or you want to go top or bottom to top like always?
Yeah, let's bang it out.
Bang it out. First fight of the night. I'll throw it right to you. What's going on, Jasmine? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're enjoying the free time you have with your man, who most definitely deserves it. Coming off a big 10K showdown win as well. First fight of the night. Absolute banger to kick it off. Mahate taking on Gabriel Bonitez, 8,800. Mahate, 7,400 is Gabriel Bonitez. Minus 232 is Mahate. Just went actually minus 240. Plus 205 on the way back is Gabriel Bonitez. Minus 210 for this fight to finish. Mahate, minus 110. Bonitez, plus 325 inside the distance. Throw it to you right away. How do you see this fight going down?
I like the underdog in this first fight. We have Mahate. I mean, he's basically a striker only. I do think he's the more dangerous striker here. I think he's the more likely minute winner if this is a 15-minute striking match. He is like minus 110 inside the distance as well. And if he does get a finish, he probably scores well. But he is just a striker. He's just okay in my eyes. I haven't seen anything great about his striking. So I really can't justify this betting line for him. He is like 12 years younger. So a fighter who's 10 or more years younger than his opponent usually wins like 2/3 of the time. So I guess the line can be justified for that reason. But if you're just looking at skill for skill, I think this is much closer to a pick'em fight. And Bonitez can win a 15-minute striking match, especially if he's slowing Mahate down with his leg kicks. He still has some of the best leg kicks. Body kicks, too. He could bring it up to the head. But I think he could win by any method. If he wants to wrestle here, I think he could win minutes on the ground. I think he could also submit Mahate. It's just that he doesn't wrestle like I would like him to. But if things aren't going the way you would like him to on the feet, it just makes sense to look for takedowns here. So at $7,400, I think Bonitez is going to have a lot easier time paying off his salary in a win. If Bonitez wins, I feel pretty good about him scoring around 10x, if not more, and maybe even 100-point upside. Whereas if Mahate wins at 8,800, I don't feel good about him scoring over 10x. And even if he does score 10x, he's got to compete with all the other high-priced fighters as well, who I think have high ceilings. So I will be underweight to Mahate and probably overweight to Bonitez here. I'm not confident in Bonitez. It's just I think there's a lot of value there at plus 200. I think it's closer to a pick'em fight than plus 200 in my opinion.
Yeah, I love it. I'm on Bonitez's side as well. I mean, you guys know I'm a sucker for the calf kicks. Dude, throw some of the best calf kicks out there. The body kicks. I mean, it's a dollar. I won't even, I guess, chirp him that much. A Walmart version or something of Machate's last opponent, Slaviclaws. Bonitez and Slaviclaws do pretty much the same stuff. I give Slaviclaws the advantage. His boxing's better. But still, the kicks on both of them, which is what they're known for, absolutely nasty. Knocked down 3 times in that fight was Mahate. The dude has a great chin. Now, when you get knocked down 3 times and he's very young, I'm starting to get him maybe a little more worried about the chin. I still think he's a more durable fighter, so I understand him being the favorites. But those leg kicks, I think, will add up early, limit his movement, and then Bonitez can bounce around, just pick him apart, maybe land a big shot. I do think it's probably, but if you tell me it goes to decision, I'm thinking Bonitez. If you say knockout, I feel confident it's Mahate. Not saying Bonitez can't knock him out. I just trust his durability. And if this fight does, like if Bonitez gets in close and they're just Max Holloway, Gaethje at the end, pointing down, etc. in a phone booth, I think Mahate wins that. Trust his durability more, big power in the hands. But yeah, you're talking at this number, I will say I'm a little nervous. 2 days ago when I was writing this fight up, it was minus 190, or plus 160. Now we're looking minus 240. Mahate is taking some good money these past couple days. It feels way too wide. It's dog or pass for me. But I will say I have more interest in Mahate than you just because of where he is for pricing rise. Denise, 9,000. Got to be double the ownership. Ryan Spann, 8,900. Got to be close to 1.5 times double the ownership. 8,700, 100 below. Mateus Nicolau. I don't love Nicolau, but he's still in the main events. He has to naturally get ownership and be higher owned. Then one lower, Jonathan Pierce at 8,600. I mean, that's a DFS god right there. If he wins over 5 takedowns per minute, or 15 minutes per minute would be absolutely nuts. Not even Rob does that. All of those guys, 200, Nicolau and Pierce, the two below him, Spann, Denise, 200 above him, are going to be higher owned, I think. So in that reason, he is favored to finish. What is it? Minus 110 inside the distance. Should be a fun scrap. I will get probably overweight on Mahate, even though I'm picking him to lose for that reason and the ownership. But I'm on Bonitez, and I want to be overweight, more overweight there as well. Let's keep it rolling. Next fight on the card. Very fun one to talk about. Ivana Petravic, Liang Na. Biggest favorite on the card is Petravic at minus 500. Liang Na plus 375. Minus 350 for this fight to finish. Not every day you see that in the women's division. Liang Na, Charlie Ontiveros, the perfect guy comp. Terrence McKinney, I wrote up for a second. Round one or bust, but McKinney's got a little more skill than Liang Na. The Ontiveros, Liang Na, though, they'll come out hard in the first round. If they somehow win, which we haven't seen, they're going to put up a big score. Otherwise, they're going to die, and they give their opponents big scores. Minus 225 inside the distance for Petravic. Plus 500 for your Liang Na. Take it away.
Yeah, if Liang Na wins this fight, it's going to be early, most likely round 1. If not in round 1, then early in round 2. She is very aggressive offensively, but she doesn't care about defense at all. She's not looking to stuff any takedowns. She's not looking to block any punches. So she can be had on the feet or the mat. But Petravic, who mostly finishes her fights, she's going to have a big edge, in my opinion, with the wrestling and grappling, especially the longer this goes. Maybe the first round looks closer to a pick'em with how aggressive Na Liang is. But I think that Petravic could go out there and look for takedowns and just nullify the aggressiveness right away. But if Liang Na wins this fight, she's going to be on the optimal lineup. And she's not going to have as much ownership as her ceiling reflects, in my opinion. So I'm okay getting some leverage there. But I got to pick Petravic here. Liang Na just has no heart, no cardio, no defense. So I think Petravic's going to finish her in the second round. If not the second, then in the third. And I think it'll have a lot of top control time, maybe multiple takedowns leading up to it. So I like Petravic. And I would rather find $600 to get to Petravic over Mahate. So that's the one reason I'll be lower on him. But you did make a lot of sense with your breakdown. I think maybe you added a little bit to my exposure on him.
Yeah, mainly it's just like the Mahate. It's like when I am playing Yatop at 8,200, like I just can't jam in Petravic, Denise, etc. That's when I'll be looking for. I don't even know. Like it's hard to go. Like Victor Henry, Souza, Mahate. Like those are the people that will be lower owned up there. You have to mix in some low owned pieces in the lineups. I play Yatop. That's probably more than likely when I'll get to some Mahate. When I don't play Yatop. Oh, I 100% would rather Petravic, Spann, all of them as well. So just kind of how you play them, which we talk about a lot on this show. But yeah, I got really nothing more to add in this fight. I will be probably overweight on Liang Na. Is it fun? No, not at all. But 10% owned she roughly comes in at. If she wins, she's like, 95, 98% optimal in a win? Like you might need to see some crazy – like the pace is going to be too high. She's 6,800. I guess at that point, it'd be 2 other dogs or 3 other dogs just scoring 100 plus and outscoring them. But almost all the win equity feels like optimal equity for me. And 9%.
Like if every single underdog on this card wins, Liang Na has a top probably 4 ceiling on the card still.
Yeah, with the favorites. Like she's going to.
Yeah, maybe. You're right. Yeah.
If she's going to come, if she wins, yeah, I think she comes out. She somehow gets She's had success getting takedowns, getting the back. Like I do think this fight plays out on the mat. What we're trying to say though, absolutely great fight to targets. Petravic going to be popular. for rightfully so. I want to get overweight on that chalk. I think it's good. If Liang Na does somehow win, I think she also scores well at 10% and the leverage there. I'm going to be playing a lot of this fight. Hey, my man Wheezy, I appreciate that, brother. Hope you're doing well, Wheezy. Always good to see you. Let's keep it going. Next fight on the card. 2 fights down, 13 fights to talk about. Actually, let me refresh weigh-ins quick. Weigh-ins going in right now. Everyone so far has made weight. Nice. We're still waiting on what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 people we're waiting on of the 26. Everyone made weight so far, so that is music to our ears. Let's keep all 13 fights on this card. Excuse me. Next fight on the card. We've hinted at it a lot. James Yatop, 8,200 minus 440 favorite, taking on Chris Padilla, who's taking this fight on short notice. For Gabe Green, who pulled out, this fight is minus 240 to finish. Again, Yatop minus 440, Padilla plus 340. This fight's minus 240 to finish, under 1.5, minus 170. I do not see individual inside the distance props for these guys, but I'm guessing Yatop will probably be like minus 140 inside the distance, minus 150 maybe. Padilla probably, I don't know, I'm spitballing, I guess, at this point, plus 450 or something like that. I'll throw it right to you with this one. Talk initially how you think this fight goes, just someone tuning in, like what is Chris Padilla going to bring to the table? What's Yatop going to bring to the table? And then, more importantly, game theory. Yatop in that lotto, probably 60% roughly. Single entry, the $100 single entry, 70 maybe, 75, the 555, 75% maybe. So know what contest you're in. All I'll say right here is I will be playing some Padilla just because of all the leverage it gets you. When he does win, 60% plus are dead. You get that win. You compete against way less people, but am I just burning money doing that?
I mean, I'm going to do it too. But Yatop, I would say he's just mostly a striker. He can strike at a high pace. He's got nice elbows. He's a good finisher. He should have a big striking edge in this matchup, and that's why he's such a big favorite. That plus Padilla's taking this fight on short notice. I feel like Yatop has some wrestling in his game, but it's not in his game plan. It's more like if Padilla closes the gap, maybe Yatop can turn it around and get takedowns on him instead type thing. Whereas Padilla is going to have wrestling in his game plan. Like he's more looking to strike with a takedown in the back of his mind, in my opinion. He does have knockout power. He just knocked out Justin James or something, a former UFC fighter.
Justin James, brother. Oh my gosh. He's starting me to life. He comes in the Camacho fight. What was it? On 3 days notice, one of the first cards back, knocks his ass out, and then doesn't win a fight after that. Keep going.
Yeah, that's who he knocked out. But I didn't even see that fight. And then there was most of his fights I couldn't find film on. So I saw highlights of the fight before James, and then maybe 1 or 2 other of his fights since 2016. So there's just a lot of unknowns on this guy. And I feel like the line is wide enough to where I don't think there's any value, first of all. But I would rather take my chances at the ownership anyways. I would rather take my chances on Padilla, the guy who I think will look to wrestle. He could get a knockout as well. But if this guy wins, I think he's going to put up a decent score. But he will, more importantly, kill off 60% of the field. Whereas Yatop, I don't think he's going to go out there and wrestle. And if he doesn't get a finish, he's mostly a striker. So if he loses minutes on to Padilla's wrestling early in the fight, that's taken away from his potential scoring. I just think there's a lot of ways for this guy not to end up on the optimal lineup. So his ownership is really what's talking me off of it. I'm thinking I'll go half the field, something like that. I definitely can't fade it. You lock him into your cash game lineups. But if I'm making 150 lineups, I'm not going to get any leverage to him. I know that. So I'm thinking maybe 30% Yatop sounds good to me. And then I have Padilla sub 10% ownership, which I think it'll be, I'm not going to get any more than 10%, but I could see me getting to 10% or so and getting a little bit of leverage on him just to hope that I kill off 60% of the field. And if he does win, I think he can compete with the optimal lineup. My issue with Padilla is that I like other underdogs on this card more to win. And then there's other underdogs who I'm picking to lose, like Liang Na, who are just going to have a higher ceiling than Padilla if they do win. So it's going to be hard to get to him. But game theory wise, I feel like he makes more sense to me. Like if I'm making one lineup this week and I'm trying to win 100K,
It has to be.
I'd rather use Padilla than Yatop.
If you're trying to, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so that's the way I'm looking at it. But overall, I do think Yatop, since Padilla's taking this fight on short notice, I don't think he can wrestle for 3 full rounds. I think he's going to start to slow down. Yatop will pick up the pace, probably finishes him late in the fight, or wins 2-3 rounds on the scorecards. I'm hoping he wins on the scorecards, scores 85 points. That probably won't get him there. So that's how I'm seeing it in my head. Fine getting exposure to him, but there's no way I'll match the field.
Yeah, no, all that, a very good breakdown. It all makes a lot of sense. One thing I will add to maybe even, we might even be, it's hard to say we're light on Yatop, but why Yatop is even more appealing this week is the mid-tier is not good, man. If you go 8,400 below, the Figlaac Hubbard fight, it's going to be low, not a great fight to target on paper. Kyle Machado, Dante Mays, not a good fight to target on paper. Then you get that Yatop 8,200, no AK fighter, because Padilla's all the way at 69. Like, if people are going to fall in that range, they're just going to click that button. I like the Lipsky Silva fight a lot, 85-77, but that's still like 300 you might need to get up to Silva in a vacuum. Yatop's a way better play than the Pierce Onama fight's fun, and it gets good after that. But the 2 fights surrounding it are bad fights. So you know right away, if you want leverage on this card, you're playing a chalky lineup, play one of the Machado Figlaac fights instead of Yatop. You can play the dog. I like Stars and Scrubs a lot this week as well, but I do want to point that out. Yatop will odd anytime you have a minus 450 favorites who's 8,200 because they get someone short notice will be owned, but he'll be even more owned, I think, because of who's around him in this range. I'm obviously going to play Yatop in lineups like that. Again, that's where I'll be playing the Victor Henry, some more Mahates, a Liang Na, etc. In lineups that I'm playing Padilla, give me the Petravics of the world, the Ryan Spans. Like, you can eat more chalk around it. That's why I always think MMA is a better MME sport, and it's how you build the rosters. Like we talk about all these sports instead of who's winning. Yatop's winning. I'm not going to play any Padilla. Well, at the end of the day, you play all the chalk. You can split it with 180 people, and that's just not where I want to be on. So, yep, I think awesome job breaking down that fight. Yatop far and away the best, highest owned play on the card. Let's keep it rolling, Big Marley. Next fight to talk about, we have, again, we're going to go through a stretch right here. Not great fights to insane fights. But this fight, I don't have much interest at all. It's an ownership play, if anything. Ketlin Souza, Marnik Man, 9,200 Souza, 7,000. Is Man most likely fight to go the distance on the card? It's plus 200 to finish. All the finish equity on the Souza side, pretty much. Plus 200 Souza, plus 910 is Man. I have this fight as a fade in 20 entry and below. It's going to be one of the lowest owned cumulative fights on the card. Souza, the big striking advantage. Man's going to want to get to the feet or get it to the mat. She's just so small, man. Like, too little. Too little. That's all she is. I forget who was calling someone too little in the NBA game. Someone was calling Bron. I think I can't remember. Too little, though. One of the better sayings out there. Man just really small. Souza's strong. Man has better wrestling. She has better offensive takedowns. Souza's been taken down. But at the end of the day, I think Souza will just physically be able to get up if she does get taken down, or just throw Man off her because she's not big enough. Souza on the feet, though, you probably need a first or second round knockout. That still might not be enough for who she's surrounded by. Over 2.5, minus 265. Just really like if I have 150 teams, I'll play some. I'll play them in the Yatop lineups and stuff like that. That's chalky. But I know most people probably play 10 lineups or less. I would not get to this fight with 10 lineups or less. What about you?
Yeah, it's my least favorite fight on the card. Souza should have a big striking edge here, and Man's not a good wrestler, so Souza could probably just keep it on the feet and piece her up for 3 rounds. But Man is tough, so I don't really see Souza getting a knockout. She is plus 200 inside the distance, which is way worse than everybody priced around her. So, yeah, I think the only way you get to Souza is as an ownership play. You're eating a lot of Yatop ownership, then maybe use a little bit of Souza. But since I'm going low on Yatop, I'm Xing Souza out of my player pool. I don't really like Man either, but the last time I took down a tournament, Man was in my lineup, so I owe it to her to put her in at least 1 or 2 lineups. She didn't even win. I got there with a loss.
I remember that. Hey, get there, you get there, man.
So I'll get at least 1 or 2 Man lineups, but aside from just owing that to her, I don't really like her either. However, if Man is going to win this fight, it's going to come on the ground. It'll have a few takedowns, lots of top control time, and she'll probably put up a good score. So she's similar to a Padilla without the knockout upside, in my opinion. But yeah, if I'm making one lineup, I would rather have Man just for that reason. Souza's looking to strike here. She's coming off a bad injury as well. I've seen her taken down and held down by worse fighters. There was some fighter on the regional scene. I was watching the fight, and it looked like Souza dropped the first 2 rounds by giving up takedowns, spending most of the first 2 rounds on her back. And I'm like, how the heck is she going to win a decision here? And then I'm like, oh, it's a 5-round fight. So she won the next 3 rounds. But this is not a 5-round fight. If you make that same mistake here, Man will win 2 rounds here. So I'm Xing out Souza. I'll be light on Man, super light on Man. Like I'll match the field or something like that, 5-10% max. But yeah, overall, this is an X out fight for me. My least favorite fight on the card.
Yep, you and I see it the same. What's going on, Rio? Hope you're doing well. And I did want to shout out. Rio reminds me, man, what a day. I mean, NBA playoffs, Showdown has absolutely been a printer for plenty of people. Agency yesterday. So shout out this Cowboys. What is it? Cowboys 282, a sharp man, always in the streets out there. But Agency, I did see he won $100K solo ship to Cowboys in the big lotto. Agency had the exact same lineup. He won $500. I hope you're not watching because it's not the moral of the story. He had the stone cold nuts though. 6% Dinwiddie, Gabe Vincent low-owned Aaron Gordon captain. Won first place, won $500, but the stone cold nuts, and only one guy had it in the actual lotto. Agency absolutely on fire. So I was shipped $1,500 to 13th place, $1,500 on the main slate. Smarty 6X Junior took 8th out of 583 people in the NBA streets. Always in there grinding. Good to see. Wanted to shout them out. Rio's been doing a great job in the NBA playoffs. Obviously, once MLB started, NBA shows not a thing anymore. Everything behind the paywall, premium content. Awesome slate planning still does in-depth. Showdown Core Report Monday through Saturday. And, of course, Discord, huge piece. He's always in there. So shout out Agency, Junior, Smarty. A lot of nice wins yesterday in the association. 5:30 Eastern today, baby.
Rio helped me turn $18 into $1,400 like a week or two ago. So, yeah, appreciate you, Rio.
Yeah, single bullet from the gym. Big Marley comes out of nowhere, ships it all, baby. Awesome stuff, Big Marley. Let's get back, talk some fights. First of all, you got your Pacers over the Bucks today. You gonna be watching it?
I won't be watching it most likely, but yeah, I'll pick them just because I'm biased.
Yeah, I'll pick. I love it. Next fight on the card, one I do not like very much either. Right in that mid tier, Kyle Machado, Dante Mays, low level big boys going at it. Pretty much a coin flip right now, depending where you look. Machado -116, Dante Mays -104. Fight to finish +110. Dante Mays, the slight dog in the 400 savings, a little better inside the distance profit +250 compared to, Machado at +285. I just don't love this fight much, Big Marley. Like, unless Dante Mays wrestles, which he averages less than 1 per 15, it's really hard to see him doing that. I think it's a pitter-patter on the outside. Both guys just exchanging stuff. Over 2.5, -170. I agree with that. Obviously, both guys have some power, but I think it's just a low, slow-paced, boring fight at range. I don't know. I guess Machado throws more volume, so maybe he wins. But if I had to pick a play, my preferred play is Mays because he's $400 cheaper, slightly better inside the distance prop. I'm going to cap these guys out like 15% owned, maybe 20. If I got 0, I'd be fine with it. But a case to be made for them. They will be low owned in that mid tier. Everyone's going Yatop at 8,200. Somehow one of Mays or Machado outscore Yatop. You can very well see a solo shipper this week. So it's really just game theory in a vacuum, though. I don't like this fight. It is big boys, though. So, and pretty much a coin flip to finish. Maybe you can talk me into it a little bit.
Nah, I can't. If they weren't heavyweights, this would be a 1-star fight for me. Because I do think it's just a slower paced fight, no matter how it takes place. But Machado would be the higher paced striker. Mays, the more likely wrestler, the better athlete of the two, maybe more knockout power. But yeah, I just don't see either one of these guys having any chance at 100 points in a decision unless Mays wrestles very heavily, which I just don't think he's good enough to do. So yeah, these are guys I'm not looking to back. with my money very much. And since I'm not looking to throw money into the pot by investing in both sides, I'm going to just take my chances here and X out Machado. I'll save the $400 and use Mays or pass. I really want to pass on this whole fight and then actively root for it to get canceled after lock. But since they're heavyweights, there's a chance that they could make the optimal lineup at low ownership. But yeah, I hate this fight. Not looking to watch it. This is a good one. If you're going to take your dog for a walk or something like that, this is a good time for it.
Man, it's kind of sad that like we can cheer for post cancellation lock because it actually happens way more than it should. That part never used to be the case. I know people got into UFC after the pandemic. I mean, you were getting 15 fights every single week pre-pandemic. People weren't missing weight. There was no such thing as cancellations. And it definitely changed. I don't know. People got a little soft or what it may be. I ain't never calling the UFC fighters soft, but it definitely has changed a little bit.
Definitely not to their face.
Well, no, period. They're not if you're getting in that octagon. But
I mean, Brendan is soft, but I won't tell him to his face.
No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. All right, next fight on the card. Enough of that before that gets clipped. Michael Figlaac, Austin Hubbard, -171 is Figlaac at 8,400. Austin Hubbard, 7,800 is +141 on the other side. This fight, another one expected to go the distance, +160 to finish. Figlaac +285, Austin Hubbard +400. Figlaac looked awful in his debut. I mean, the kickboxer in ZM put on the wrestling shoes. Not a good look, but he took, almost 2 years off. He was good in Cage Warriors before he came over. Hubbard is second stint in the UFC, beat Holloway, got the contract out of Tough. Hubbard's not a guy I really like playing in DFS. Figlaac, I guess, is an unknown. I want your opinion for sure on this one. I had it as a fade. Right before the show, I changed Figlaac from fade to underweight because I was like, all right, he's going to be low owned. The Yatop stuff, that's a pivot right there. I don't like Machado. I don't like Mays. I mean, he might be grinding. He's going to be low owned. There's more just unknowns, I guess, with him in the second UFC fight coming off a stinker. But I don't love this fight at the end of the day. Can Figlaac mix in takedowns? Can he finish Hubbard? Can he put up 100?
I mean, I don't like him. I plan on fading him. But I would rather use him over Machado to get different from the on top. So maybe
what about Hubbard in this fight? Who's your preferred play?
Hubbard for sure. Okay. Yeah, I think this is a pick'em fight in my opinion. So I think what's his name? Figlaac, he's probably the more dangerous striker of the two, has a little bit more power. But a 15-minute striking match, it's close. Maybe it goes to Figlaac, but I'm not confident in that. And then Hubbard could slow him down with leg kicks. And then the wrestling, I thought Figlaac would have a wrestling edge in his last fight when he's facing a striker, but he got out wrestled by a striker. And Hubbard has faced some of the best wrestlers in the division, and he's won against a couple of them. And he's averaging 94 points in his wins. I think Hubbard makes a lot of sense at 7,800. I will probably be overweight to Hubbard and then underweight for sure to Figlaac, but with 20 or less, I'm going to X him out. With 150, I'll get to a little bit of Figlaac probably. But yeah, this one's going to be more so Hubbard or pass for me. Let me just save the $600 too on my favorite Figlaac lineup and throw Hubbard in that as well. So I think that we're getting a little bit of recency bias value on Hubbard here from losing to Kurt Holloway, kind of gassing out in that fight, but he does train at elevation. I think that recency bias is always a good thing to attack. So give me Hubbard to turn it around here.
Yeah, I mean, we see it similar. It's just I guess I prefer the other side if I had to pick. And again, I just think because he has more 100+ point upside, which is kind of one of these cards like UFC 300 where we probably don't need everyone to score 100+, but I'm at least acting like we do because if Liang Na wins, Bonitez is good down there. Alex Perez has 100+ point upside. If Austin Lane wins, if Gusov wins, they can put up 100+. So I just don't love. If someone scores 100 in this fight, I think it is more likely to be Figlaac than Hubbard. At the end of the day, though, I don't like this fight one bit either. Or, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say one bit because I'm going to keep Figlaac in the pool, but it is more of a fade than not. Before you get to the next fight, if you had 150 teams, is there anybody you're Xing on this card?
Souza,
okay.
If I was high on Yatop, then I would keep some of her in, but I'm not.
Yeah, for sure. Next fight on the card, Victor Henry, Ronnie Yaya. depending where you look, I mean, man, I see minus 425 on DraftKings plus or minus 365 on Bet Online now. Ronnie Yaya has taken some money this morning. It was minus 400 plus all week. Now minus 365 plus 290, minus 105 for this fight to finish. Victor Henry plus 145 inside the distance. Ronnie Yaya plus 525. I'm not playing Ronnie Yaya. I know that. Very good submission game. If he grabs the back, does what he did against King the whole fight and just controls him, he has a path to victory. Henry, good takedown defense, good get-up game, squirmy, lands over 8 significant strikes on the feet. I don't know. Talk to me about Henry, though, man, because like Yaya could flop to his back if he gets hit, if he wants to slow down this fight. Henry throws a bunch of volume. If he gets a late finish, any finish, I guess, he very well has a chance to put up he put up 114 in a decision, 106 in a decision. 114, I would take it roughly 20%. 106, I don't know. You don't hate it. Probably not enough on this slate. I think a lot of people put up some big scores up top, but 8 significant strikes per minute, one of the biggest favorites on the card, and he's going to be lower owned than a lot of these people up top as the highest priced fighter with a way worse inside the distance prop than plenty of them below. So in Yatop lineups, I mentioned it earlier, I don't love Souza much. I'll play Henry more to get different up top. Do I love it in a vacuum? No, I like Petravic more. I like Denise more. I like Span more, etc. In Yatop and chalk your lineups, I'll play some Henry. What are your thoughts, though, on like how this fight goes? Can he get to the optimal? Can he get you 115? Can he finish Yaya? Or is Yaya just going to be flopping to his back?
I think he's going to need to finish Yaya to make the optimal lineup at 9,500. So I'll probably cap his ownership at his inside the distance line.
Plus 145. So it's
better than I thought. So yeah, that's like 40%.
Right?
And yeah, 40% is way higher than I want, actually. I feel like in my head, I would rather have closer to 20% Henry because, I mean, if you're looking at it, 8.26 landed strikes per minute is pretty freaking good in multiple fights. But Yaya only absorbs 1.77 strikes per minute. He's not a guy that's going to just be there for the fight like Gravely and Barcelos were. He's going to be trying to avoid the fight at all costs, flopping to his back, jumping for ankles, whatever he's got to do. But if Yaya wins this fight, it's going to be in the first round. It's going to be a first-round submission most likely, and he's going to be on the optimal lineup. And I think if he gets a takedown in the first minute, the odds are going to shift really close to pick him, in my opinion, because like Henry's bettors are going to be sweating it big time. Every second it's on the ground. But if Yaya doesn't get his first or second submissions, I think he's going to start giving up on himself, and the cardio is going to start giving up the longer this goes as well. So I think Henry's super in play for a late TKO here, but he's not going to want to wrestle. And if he does drop the first round, it's going to be really hard to come back from that. So I'm going to be lower than the field. I actually don't. What do I put the field at?
22%. 22%. And I think that's about right because people rather click on Petravic for 100 less, way better in a vacuum. Then you can save, and you can save money too, or leave money on the table. But Denise, Span, Nicolau, like all of them in a vacuum feel like they have way higher. Their inside the distance prop says so. Under 1.5 in that Span Denise fight is crazy. Like,
yeah, even at the same price, I like those guys more.
Yeah,
so I just won't get to much Henry. But on the other end, Yaya is going to be unowned. And I actually think he's pretty damn live here in this first round. So I will be probably overweight to Yaya. I'll probably go 10% Yaya, try and double up the field there. But yeah, it's another fight where I just don't feel good about it. I think most of the time Henry's going to avoid the submission in the first round and coast his way to a decision and just not score enough points. So Henry probably wins and doesn't score enough for the optimal lineup. That's how I see it going down. So not a bad fight to X out if you want to do that, but they can both make the optimal lineup.
No, I agree with you. I think that's another fight you can cross off. And people are probably like, wow, who are these dudes playing? They've crossed off all of this card. Well, every single fight we're going to talk about from here on out, banger, 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 banger. So if you have only one fight left or something, you're chilling in first place after this fight, don't get your hopes up. You're going to see some big scores more than likely. I'm not going to get to Yaya just because I like a lot of these dogs. I'm playing Liang Na. I'm playing Padilla for leverage. And that's the main thing. Like I just like Padilla more because I know I'm getting a lot more leverage off of the opponent than I am with Yaya, because I think Henry's going to be pretty low owned anyway. Definitely has the upside though. 21 submissions. If it's on the mat, you are definitely shaking in your boots if you don't have Yaya, which will be me. But I'm playing Liang Na, I'm playing Padilla, no man, but I'm playing Means, Lane, Gusov, Bonitez, Perez, Onama, Silva. Like all of them, I think, are very live. Not necessarily. I mean, Yaya has the upside. He's going to be low owned. So everything you say, I agree with. I need to make some fades. I like enough dogs. If Yaya wins, hey, NBA playoffs are on Saturday. There's always something else to do now. Always some other money to be made, and that is where I'll be heading in the MLB and NBA streets to get some back. That is Victor Henry, Ronnie Yaya, though. Again, just in a fight, I'll be playing Henry in chalkier lineups to get different, though. Here we go. We got what? 7 fights left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 fights left. All absolute bangers expected to finish. Uros Medic, Tim Means, minus 300 Medic, plus 250 is it Medic or Medic? I've always said Medic, but
Medic. That's
I feel like some people say Medic. Who knows?
I'm not the greatest with pronunciations, but Medic is what I go with.
Yeah, I'm going Medic. Uros Medic, Tim Means, minus 300 Medic, plus 250 Means. Minus 240 for this fight to finish. Medic minus 165. Tim Means plus 550. I'm right there. We talk about Medic, who's 9,200 or 9,100, excuse me. Way better inside this is prop. Minus 165 compared to Henry for 400 more at plus 145. That's why we're talking this ownership. Medic is going to be higher owned. There's no doubt about it. I'll throw it to you right in this fight, though. Everyone's darling this week, it feels, is Tim Means. Rightfully so. He just schooled the young buck, Fiallo. Everyone's a young buck to Tim Means, though, at this point in their career. He definitely still has some left in him, some grit left in him, some hands left in him. The chin, I will admit, I'm a little worried about at this point in his career. Not really that he's given me too many reasons to, but he's taken so much damage. Medic hits hard, and I will say, I was front row. That was the knockout with Semmelsberger in Utah was right in front of me, man. Medic looks scary. That back fist, he got hurt early. The cardio checked out. It was at elevation too. I was impressed to see Medic in that fight. How I'm going to throw it to you in this one, though. Does Tim Means wrestle? Because outside of his last fight against Fiallo, which he didn't need to, he's wrestled a lot more later in his career. It's open here. Like that's the easiest path to victory. Mix in takedowns, zap the cardio a little bit. You can't get knocked out. This line feels wide. But, man, I don't know. Like, does Tim Means wrestle? I don't think he wins a striking match. I think he can, but I wouldn't pick him to do so. So, yeah, take it away.
Yeah, I think he probably does wrestle. But he's 40 years old now. He's definitely not as durable as he used to be. Like, he's not getting knocked out a lot, but he's eating shots and then, like, getting submitted shortly afterwards. And Medic is dangerous, especially in fights. He's never been to a decision in his life, so it's just a good fight to target for that reason. But I think if there's a first round or even a second round finish in this fight, it's probably going to be Medic, and he's probably going to score well. However, if Means looks to wrestle, I think he can take away that power by just grinding out control time. And I think that the best bet, I think the line is definitely wide, like almost 10%, maybe not quite 10%, too wide. But the best bet, in my opinion, is money line decision only. So it's only graded if it goes the distance. Means is still a slight underdog in that scenario, and I would favor Means in that scenario. So I already bet that right there. Means money line decision only. And I think that
if people want it, what book and what number did you get?
DraftKings plus 110. I'm guessing it's still there. It was like an hour ago, maybe something like that. But I think that Means is just a better all-around fighter in this one. I mean, he's 40 years old, so we got to expect a little bit of a decline, but he should be the better wrestler. I think he's the better minute-to-minute striker as well. So it's just the durability that I don't like. And I think Medic probably finishes him early in the fight. So I actually like both sides of it. But at their ownership, I would much rather get leverage on the Means side. And maybe I'm off if you say that Means is everybody's darling. Maybe I'll have to up him a little bit. But
it feels like more betting, I guess. I don't know. Like I'm on Twitter once in a while. I don't read what other people really say, but like I follow Clint, like diehard MMA. I follow a lot of random Magic, some other like random bettors that are pretty big in the space that post tickets. I don't know, random names. And it feels like a lot of people choose Means value plus two, like in that aspect. Now, does it carry over to DFS? Yeah, I guess that's why I don't really talk or look at it too much, because I don't really think it has too much of a say in DFS. Maybe it does. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I do look at that stuff. So maybe I up Means' ownership before the fights start, but he's like half of what Medic is projecting at right now for me. So I would rather get my leverage on the Mean side, but at the same, I'm cool just loading up on this fight, getting leverage to both of them, maybe going 40% Medic, just get a little bit of leverage there, and then 25, 30% Means, and really double up the field almost on him. I think it's going to be a good fight, but I think Means is more likely to win a decision, and I also think he could score 90-plus points winning a decision. So Means is my preferred play, but I'm picking Medic to get an early finish. Hoping I'm wrong.
Medic, Denise, Span. Rank them.
The opposite way. No. Denise, Span, Medic.
See, yeah, that's where. Yeah, I'm the exact same. Denise, Span, Medic, and it's 9,100, 9K, 89, and that's kind of why. Because Medic isn't going to wrestle, and if Means does come out, he can drop the first round, get off his back, be on his back for 3 minutes, knock Means out in the second round, and it's not going to be optimal. That's the little concern. If Means does wrestle, minutes can go by without him scoring, and Medic isn't going to get top control. Whereas Span does have some wrestling upside. The Denise fight would be very, very weird if it went long that way. So you feel more comfortable about the ceiling on those better. So I do think Medic would be my third. And yeah, I guess I don't really know if I have a preferred play. I'll say we have 36% Medic, 14% Means right now. At that ownership, I prefer Means. But I will be playing both sides. Just pretty much the rest of all these fights, every single person will be in my pool.
Yeah, I think you can make a case. I mean, not a case, but there's flaws in all three of those guys. We can make a case for them not being on the optimal lineup. So I think with my hand builds, I'll be low on Medic. But with MME, if I'm making 150, it's going to be hard to avoid him in a lot of my lineups because I want to load up on this fight.
Yeah, totally makes sense. These last fights, I will most definitely be loading up on. Again, don't get too confident. If you're in first place, you're checking out the optimal. Unless you got 110 for all your fighters, and then, yeah, you're definitely solo shipping something. 5 fights left on the card. I am super pumped for this fight right here. Jonathan Pierce, David Onama, minus 158. Pierce, plus 135. Onama, minus 200 for this fight to finish. Jonathan Pierce, plus 150. David Onama, plus 195. I will admit, I am a little sad. Just a couple days ago, Pierce was minus 175, minus 180. I mean, I'm on the Onama train because I think this line is a little crazy. Now, talking betting and that compared to DFS, I don't think it's crazy in terms of ownership, because if Jonathan Pierce wins at 8,600, it's really hard not to see him on the optimal. Over 5 significant strikes per minute, over 5 takedowns per 15 minutes. David Onama's biggest weakness has been his takedown defense, essentially. He got taken down twice last time by Santos, the Landwehr fight when he was completely dead, etc. But it's a clash of styles in my book. If Pierce can't get him down, Onama's going to hurt him bad. I think he's going to knock him out. I think we got Pierce by wrestling for all the money, for all the points, or Onama by KO. But the problem is, even Onama KO is not a lock for the optimal. If he gets wrestle fucked or whatever for the first 2 rounds, third round knockout, he scores 68, 74. Is that the likely path? No. If Onama wins, you tell me Onama wins right now, excuse me, I'm almost jamming him at 100%. But I do think Pierce is, if you say Pierce wins, he's more likely at the optimal, even for 1,000 more than I do think Onama is, just because of the style of the fight. And Onama can be controlled off his back for periods of the time on this fight. There's no doubt about that. I'm still taking the dog money. I definitely don't like plus 125 and plus 135 like I did plus 150 a couple days ago. I think that, yeah. But I'm on Onama. Stuff takedowns, hurt him. More athletic fighter. I'm on Onama here. I will say, though, I'm a little biased. Since he came in with Mason Jones, I've loved him. Dallas, Texas, I was sitting right next to him and his boy the whole time. Cool dude. I like Onama, but yeah, he's dangerous, man. I think he wins.
Yeah, I love this fight. This is my favorite fight on the card from a watching perspective, and I'm high on both guys. And it's a top 3 fight to target on DraftKings. Close to all in, really, because of the price tags and because they can both fight at a high pace. Pierce averages 120 points in his wins, and he was on the way of breaking the slate in his last fight before he got finished with a joke submission. But that's, I mean, it's going to be him on the ground or it's going to be Onama on the feet. Onama's a high-paced striker with a lot of power, and I think we're going to get an Onama knockout or we're going to get a Pierce decision or submission that either way scores well. So I'm just going to load up on this fight. I don't even think it matters who you're picking to win. Just get some leverage on that person. I just agree with everything you said. So I think I'm slightly favoring my Pierce exposure because he more likely breaks the slate if he wins. But I'm just going to load up on this one. Maybe I'm 50% Pierce, 40% Onama. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do on this one, but I'm going to have a lot of it. And I didn't put either one of them in my core plays because I'd be fine with either one of them being in there. So I got 3 other guys. You can go check it out over at SHIPITNation.com. But yeah, I love this fight. Can't wait to watch it. And sad that one of them has to lose.
Yeah, well, you might have just jinxed it, brother. Draw, no contest.
First round. Oh,
someone doesn't have to lose, unfortunately. Let's move on before you get some bad juju even more on that. Jonathan Dinez taking on Austin Lane. Dinez, I'm probably butchering that. Dinez. Jonathan Dinez? Denise. Yeah, I've been saying Denise. I knew it didn't sound right. Jonathan Denise, Austin Lane, minus 310. Denise plus 260 is Austin Lane. Minus 900 for this fight to finish. Most likely to finish on the card. Denise minus 220. Austin Lane plus 250. I feels like the UFC knows what they're doing. Denise 6-0, 6 knockouts, kickboxer that transitioned into MMA. Austin Lane, former NFL player, cheeks at MMA, ain't going to go for takedowns, it feels like. Bad striking defense. Yeah. Obviously, I wouldn't say any of that to his face. With all that being said, I'm going to be playing some Lane because when Lane does win, it's going to be probably a first or second round knockout for all the money, for all the points for cheap and leverage. But, man, it feels – if you're picking Austin Lane in this one, please comment below why. Because I just don't see anyone on it, and it's really tough to get behind it personally. But with all that being said, I will probably be more overweight on Lane maybe, just because he's going to be like a 4th or 5th of the ownership, and when he wins, he is going to score. Onama missed weight. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Let's see. Yatop missed weight too. Padilla weighted half a pound under. Yatop half a pound over. Onama missed by 2.5 pounds. I mean, that has to make you like the fight even more. Maybe it helps him with his takedown defense a little bit. He knew he wasn't going to make, so he didn't cut off those extra couple pounds and kill himself and zap the cardio. Makes wrestling on Pierce's side harder. But yeah, maybe it's, man, the weight cut was awful. He did try. He still couldn't get it. Pierce.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I just jinxed it. And now one of them doesn't have to lose because Pierce is going to be like, no, I don't want the fight anymore.
Yep, maybe that as well. Yeah. Thanks for letting us know on our Ben. But yeah,
thanks,
Denise Lane, what do you got?
Yeah, I expect these guys to throw heavies until one of them falls. Denise is the better striker. Like, he's a pretty good kickboxer for at least 5 minutes, but he's never been out of round 1. So he's one of those unproven guys who I have no idea what he looks like after round 1. And he's only a striker. So if anyone's looking for takedowns here, it should be Lane. But Lane's just not a good fighter. Lane's probably like the toughest guy in every bar that he goes into. But when he runs into a real fighter, like he doesn't have anything for him. So if he can knock out Denise here, maybe he can have a cardio edge and come on late. And then maybe he wants to turn on, if he wants to put the wrestling shoes on, possibly he could do that too. So I feel like there's a lot of ways that he could score well. But what I like most about him is that he is going to be low owned. And if he does win, he's going to score a lot of points most likely. And he'll kill off close to half of the field on the Denise side. So I think Lane makes a lot of sense as a low owned leverage play on this card. But more often than not, I think Denise wins in the first round by knocking him out because he is pretty aggressive in the first round. His striking looks like he actually knows what he's doing. And I think that Lane's probably in trouble in the first 2-3 minutes of this fight, unless he lands a big shot himself. So I'm going to be loading up on this fight. This is probably 85% or more of my total exposure. But I like Denise to be in maybe half of it, and then 30% or so Lane. But I'll be loading up on this fight, and I think that it ends in the first round.
Yeah, you and I pretty much are in total agreement. Obviously, the easy picks Denise with the ownership and everything, though. Lane, if Lane wins, plenty of lineups die. lane has to be pretty much optimal in most win scenarios. That's how we played. Even though I think he loses, when he does win, he's going to score. But I definitely want plenty of Denise as well. 3 fights left. Going to be very fun fights. Not often you see women's flyweight fight this high up in the card, but absolute banger. Sign me up for every day of the week. Karina Silva, absolutely been on fire to start in the UFC, 3-0, taking on Ariana Lipsky, 3-0 in her last 3 herself. Absolutely been on a roll. 8,500 Silva, 7,700 Lipsky, -158 is Silva, +138. Excuse me, man. Is Lipsky -180 for this fight to finish. Silva +125. Lipsky +225. I will say I was a little surprised when I looked at this line. I always cap to put my own odds with the ownership or with the fight before I look at the odds. Open -115 apiece. Then Silva was a dog, +120 range for 2 weeks. And then just money started pouring in on her. +120 went to like -120. Ever since then, she's taken a little money throughout. I don't know, man. This is a tough one. What I do know, I'm going to be playing a lot of both sides of this one because I hate the Figlaac fight, the Machado fight. Of course, there's the popular $8,200 fighter. Then you have the Pierce fight, which is good, but I think this fight delivers. I really do. I think Silva on the ground by sub or Lipsky. I should say that Silva can knock her out too early, but the longer this fight goes and if it's on the feet, I favor Lipsky. And I think eventually someone's going to go down, whether it's Lipsky getting submitted, Lipsky pouring it on her with volume, knocking out Silva eventually. Either way, I like this fight a lot. I think it scores. I'm excited for it in real life.
Yeah, I'm probably not as excited for it as you are, but I do think it's a good one to target because all of Silva's wins are inside the distance. And I think they're all in the first or second round, actually. So if that continues here at $8,500, she's going to score well. And she could get a knockout because Lipsky has maybe some durability issues. And Lipsky can also be taken down and held down for periods of time. But Lipsky's never been submitted here. And I don't really like Silva's offensive wrestling. I like her grappling. Like once the fight is on the ground, I think she can be dominant. But I don't trust her to get the fight to the ground. And I also think if she's not landing a knockout on the feet, she's going to be losing the minutes to a better striker in Lipsky here. So my pick is going to be Lipsky. It's another one where I think there's a good bet out there on DraftKings, money line, decision only. It's only graded if it goes the distance. I think Lipsky should be a pretty good favorite in that one. So I took her at -115 over there. I even like that one a little bit more than Means. But I think Lipsky's playing for 10x here in a win. Whereas if Silva wins, it's probably a finish, and she's got 100-point upside. But I'll go underweight, I think, to Silva. Overweight to Lipsky is how I'm seeing it. But I'd be fine getting like around 30% of either one of these guys or ladies. But yeah, it's all because of the Silva side, though. She's just been to decision one time. She lost it. But I just don't think that she can be the minute winner in this fight as long as it's not taking place on the ground, though. So give me Lipsky to pull off the upset. I just like other underdogs to have much higher ceilings.
Awesome breakdown. Yeah, you and I listened to most of it. I will say, too, my buddy Siggy in the NFL betting chat, we've been hammering draft props. Absolutely free cheese yesterday, the definition of free cheese. Siggy, he dropped one in there for me that he found on DraftKings, so I put that in quick. Again, not only DFS, we don't charge for betting. Again, 4 Deep, the merger over there. If you want picks, tools, education, process, definitely check out the guys at 4deep.com. Use the promo code SHIPIT. But we do have betting, NFL betting, NBA, sports betting, PGA, MLB, portions in the Discord. People talk about it, drop their stuff once in a while. The draft has definitely been some free money as of late. So just got a little bet in there. Appreciate you, Siggy. And yes, any edge of the way, I don't think so, Michael. I think most people realize, especially because there's no one that has the same price twice. So people will just see 8,500, 7,700, and they'll know that like that is who the fighter is, unfortunately. 3 fights left, Big Marley. 2 fights left, excuse me. Ryan Spann, Bogdan Gusov, absolute banger here. -167 is Ryan Spann. Again, make sure to price shop. -188 on FanDuel. always price shop in every sport. Definitely MMA. Plus 147 on the way back is Gusov. Okay, this fight was minus 800 to finish earlier. Now it's minus 1,000. So the slight favorite as the most likely fight to finish. Minus 275 for under 1.5. Span minus 160. Gusov plus 175. I'll just throw it to you right away. Obviously, I think you're going to say both sides great, jam fight, etc. Does Span wrestle though? And does he wrestle early? Does he make it easy as possible, or is he going to stand in the middle and bang? Because someone's definitely going to sleep if so.
I'm trying to find this bet that Siggy threw in there, but
I'll send it to you.
All right,
I'll tag you in the Discord too.
All right, cool. I see it. I'm trying to find it on DraftKings, but for this fight, minus 1,000.
Type in Houston Texans after. When you go to the search bar on DraftKings and type in Houston Texans, then scroll all the way down, and then you can have what their first one will be. On the search bar, type in Houston though. Yeah, yep, you're good. You're Mike, I know. Good.
All right, I'm back. But yeah, this fight, Guskov's just not good. He's just not a good fighter. But if there's one thing he's good at, it's punching hard. And if he's going to win this fight, it's probably going to be a knockout, and an early knockout. And Span can be knocked out. So I feel like if Gusov wins, he's going to score 100+ points here. The line is kind of moving into his favor. So I've been upping his ownership along with it. With the new ownership, I don't like him as much. And at this point, I'm definitely going to be leveraged on the Span side because I think he's the more skilled fighter everywhere here. I think he could knock out Gusov. He throws hard. I think he's the better overall striker too. But if he looks to wrestle, I think he could dominate this fight on the ground. And most likely he's going to finish it if he does look to wrestle. So I like Span here. He can win by any method, and I expect it to be inside the distance. So he's my preferred play. But if Gusov does win, he's a Na Liang, he's an Austin Lane. He's going to score 100 points probably. But he's the one that does have the ownership, where Lane doesn't have a lot of ownership. Na Liang doesn't have a lot of ownership. So I feel like I would just rather take my chances with them at this point, and then I'll go a little bit heavier on Span. But top 3 fight, maybe top 1 fight on the card according to the ITD line. But yeah, load up on it. I'll be higher on Span.
I'm with you. I think Span, even if it's on the feet, I think Span, the better striker, the longer striker, can knock him out. Gusov, obviously, that's his easiest path, can knock him out there. But Span, I think, can make it easy. Volkan submitted him, his second submission he ever had. Span, much more dangerous on the mat, very strong on top. Yeah, I think it's Span too. But this line's not moving. It actually is moving. It came a little bit in Bogdan's favor, which I didn't really expect. So, yeah, just because I'm picking Span, I could end up with more Gusov. You need dogs. I want Span, though. Span is my pick, but very similar to that Austin Lane fight. Like you said, for me as well. Main event time. Appreciate all 29 of you watching live. Been watching pretty much all 29 the whole time. Shout out to y'all. Hope you're having a good Friday. Hope you have a good weekend. Everyone watching on playback. Appreciate you guys as well. Like button, subscribe button. And, of course, if you are picking, what did I say earlier? If you were picking Austin Lane, put in the comments why you're picking Austin Lane, since I really have not seen anyone on that. And again, you want to join us at the Nation, want to see who Marley's core report is, fight ranking, slate plan, ownership, projections, not only MMA, PGA, NBA, MLB, NASCAR Sundays. Head over to the Nation, NHL playoffs. Hoop 15 is the promo code. Weekly, $24 a week. No Discord, no promo code. Otherwise, monthly, 6-month. Annual packages do get in the Discord if you do join. Main event time, Big Marley, Mateus Nicolau, Alex Perez. Minus 175, Nicolau. Plus 150 is Alex Perez. Minus 155 for this fight to finish. Plus 160 is Nicolau. Plus 235 is Perez. I mean, to be honest, I didn't even really have a strong take on who wins the fight. I do think the odds are a little wide. I just know I prefer Alex Perez in DFS because Nicolau, low volume. Like, when he gets there, it's either a knockout or he wrestles. I don't think he can wrestle Alex Perez for 25 minutes or put up a big score that way. And then you look at who he's surrounded by. Like, man, give me Jonathan Pierce. Give me Ryan Span. Give me – I'm trying to pull up who else in this race. Give me Machado for half the ownership. Give me Denise. Give me Medic. even the Silva fight for half the ownership. Like the range, he has to do something. He has to probably put up 100 plus to get there. I'm not confident he does. I think he'll be over-owned because of the 5-round nature. Now, I will say this. Maybe everybody's saying this. Again, I don't look at other people's content really too much, but I wouldn't be surprised if everyone was on that. And if we saw Nicolau come in at like 30%, 32%, then I think it's sharp. And I do think there is a chance we do see Nicolau come in a lot lower owned than what everyone thinks because everyone's saying the same thing. And that's why I have him underweight. But again, at 30%, if you tell me it's 30%, even though I don't love it, I do think in a 5-round main event for these props, I think that probably would be about even or under owned. So any thoughts on maybe the ownership creeping down a little bit with how good the upper tier is with Pierce there, Span there, et cetera, and then break down this fight in general? I still like Perez more, though, for the savings, 100%.
Yeah, I could see the ownership going down a little bit. I just kind of, any main event, I start at 80% as a whole, and then I move from there. But yeah, this is a card where there's 6 other fights that could score great. So I think this is one where you definitely don't have to be all in on the main event, and maybe the field will follow on that as well. But for me, I'm on the underdog in this one. I mean, $8,700, Nicolau, he just doesn't do enough minute to minute for me to think he's going to score well in a decision win here. And he could get a decision win in 5 rounds and still not score 10x, in my opinion. He doesn't wrestle as much as I would like him to, but I think his biggest advantage would be offensive grappling and submission potential. But if there's a knockout in this one, I kind of favor it to be Perez. I think Perez is the better minute-to-minute striker as well with higher volume. And I think that Perez is the better wrestler too. So if Perez can keep this fight on the feet, I like him to win it. Nicolau's coming off a knockout too, so Perez has 100-plus point upside with a TKO. I don't know that he's going to want to take Nicolau down too many times, but if Perez wins, no matter what, I expect him to score more than 10x. So I'll be overweight to Perez here. He's one of the top plays on the slate for me, and then I'll be underweight on the Nicolau side. And if I do start lowering the ownership, it's going to start with him.
Awesome. We see it definitely the same. I will say, though, yeah, I do think Nicolau could end up mid-30s, even like a 33%. And I think at that ownership, that is definitely a very solid play. I do think Alex Perez is more popular. We have it that way right now as well, so just know that for sure. If you are going to Yatop, Petravic, etc., maybe do go Nicolau, not Alex Perez. Always can leave money on the table, etc. Ownership, you need it in MMA. No one does it better than Big Marley. Shout out Sheets, who does track that always. It's not who you play, it's how you play them. I think we did a great job this week. Hopefully, all 13 fights stay. Onama 2.5 weight miss. Come on, Pierce. That fight better stay on the card. 100K up top. Plenty of money to be made this week in NBA playoffs, MLB, NHL playoffs, NASCAR, MMA, PGA. Let's make some money this week, Big Marley. What you say? Final thoughts.
Yeah, man, this will be a great card if we end up shipping it. So let's just do that. But good luck to you, Title. Good luck to everybody listening. Hopefully we hit that bet, Siggy. I just grabbed it. So good luck to all of us. But yeah, man, let's ship it this weekend. Good luck, everybody.
Let's ship it, baby. Jacob Stubb, what's going on? Have a great weekend, everybody. Let's make some money. Let's see some Shipping Nation logos up top. I'll be back with our man Ham, hour 20, talking some baseball, big boy slate. For Big Marley, I'm Title Town. Good luck. Let's ship it.